Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Giving all praise and honor to you, our God, the King of the universe, and to thank Him for our lives, our strength, for good health, for the opportunity to call upon His name on this day, and asking that He would teach us all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that is necessary in order for us to continue to survive and thrive as His people. For we ask that His presence would be with us here, and those that are listening, those that are gathering on this day, and we thank the Most High. We thank Yehovah, our God, for raising up the children of Yisrael, still showing us that He will fulfill His promise. For we will return to the land that He has given us, and even in the land, that doesn't mean that our goal stops. Because we always have to continue to serve the Most High God. We have to continue to study His Word. We have to continue to apply His Word to our lives. So we're continuing to get the wisdom that will come to us, praying that the Most High God will give us that wisdom, because these are the lessons that will teach us how to live without us having to actually experience certain things. You know, some people say experience is a teacher, but sometimes you don't want experience to teach you. Sometimes it's good enough just to let somebody else's experiences teach you, and you'll know what to do and what not to do based on what somebody else does or does not do. So we ask that, once again, that the presence of Yehovah God would be with us here, that He would teach us His truth, and teach us the way that we should walk before Him. So we're going into the book of Proverbs, and we're starting in chapter 22.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, starting from verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and love and favor rather than silver and gold.
So your name is basically who you are.
Right.
So it determines, when somebody says your name, what feeling that individual or that group of people say after they say your name. So when they talk about you want to have a good name, that's because it's basically better than great riches, better than all the money that you could think about.
Right.
Having a good name is more important, because having a good name could get you into places that your money may not be able to get you into. And on the reverse side, your name may keep you out of places that your money may be able to get you in. Because sometimes you may have enough money to get into certain places, but your name is so bad that they don't even want to deal with you. So you want to make sure that, it's one thing, and this chapter is going to talk about, the next chapter is going to talk about, whether your focus should be on riches or not. But it starts off saying that definitely you want to make sure you have a good name. And it says the same thing at the beginning of Ecclesiastes chapter 7, the same thing, that having a good name is better than all of the riches. So your name is also that loving favor that you show to people.
Right.
So basically how you treat people is what's going to cause you to have a good name or not. Continue.
Verse 2. The rich and the poor meet together. Yehovah is the maker of them all.
So basically simply said that all of us are going to die. So you could be poor, don't worry about what the rich person has. And if you're rich, don't try to downplay a poor person, because both the rich and the poor are going to die. Because it says Yehovah is the maker of all. Some people are rich, once again, some people are poor. But if we know that we have to live righteously before the Most High God, then we will consider what will happen to us at the end. So we can't study our status or somebody else's status. We have to study the status that we have before the Most High God. Continue.
Verse 3. A prudent man seeth the evil and hideth himself, but the thoughtless pass on and are punished.
So the prudent person is the person that's wise.
Right.
They know when trouble is before them, and they know how to turn. So like a person that's walking down the street and they see, commotion, a block ahead, they know that not to keep walking straight forward. Also, not just something that you can physically see, but, when you have wisdom, you can know whether your actions are going to bring trouble or not.
Right.
So a person that is wise knows what direction to walk in life. Once again, whether it's that physical block you're walking down or that path that you're trying to walk in the side of the Most High God, you can know when there's trouble. But it says that the thoughtless, the person doesn't even care, they'll just keep going straight ahead into that trouble. Continue.
Verse 4. The reward of humility is the fear of Yehovah, even riches and honor and life.
So along with, once again, you having a good name, you want to be a humble person, especially in the sight of Yehovah. And then it says that will bring you the fear of Yehovah. Because when you have humility, such as we read about Moses and his humility, that caused him to be mindful of other people. It caused him to be mindful of how Yehovah considered him. So therefore, he was able to develop the fear of God. So if we learn to walk in that path of humility, then we can also develop the fear of God. And with the fear of God or the fear of Yehovah, then we will also get the riches and the honor and life. Continue.
Verse 5. Thorns and snares are in the way of the forward. He that keepeth his soul holdeth himself far from them.
So the fraud person is the person that's perverse, the person that's going contrary to the way that Yehovah God has taught us. So in that path that person is walking, is basically saying that, there's thorns and there's snares. There's going to be all types of things that will entrap that person that is walking in that perverse path. But the person that keeps his soul, basically, just like the verse before, or the two verses before, that protects themselves, they'll make sure that they won't walk in that path, that they're going to get scratched up, where they're going to fall down, where they're going to trip, because they're considering their ways, and they're considering that Jehovah God watches all things, and knowing that Jehovah God will protect them in all things. So they're making sure that they don't walk in that path that has the thorns and snares, but they're keeping away from all evil, so that evil is not done to them, and that they're not doing evil to anyone else. Continue.
Verse 6, train up a child in the way that he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So when raising children, whatever you want to instill in that child, you do it when they're young. Because it's basically saying that that's something that would stay with that individual for the rest of their life. So like they say, like today, like within those first 3 years, that's when you want to formulate, whatever path that you want that child to go. And therefore, when they get older, because a lot of things that, we do are subconscious. Just like how, mental slavery causes us to think a certain way. So we think about what is done to us mentally and what we can do to our children to make them walk in that path of the Most High God. So if you raise them right, instill the right things within them while they're growing up, then you have less to worry about them going astray or going away from the Most High God. Continue.
Verse 7, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender.
And that's just based on strictly status. Because the rich person, generally doesn't care about anybody else. So they'll rule over other people that don't have that quote-unquote status that they may have, like what was spoken earlier. And also that the borrower, that's someone that's also poor, that was mentioned earlier, they're always borrowing. So therefore, they're always going to have to serve someone that's lending to them, because they're always going to be indebted to that individual. So therefore, whatever it is that they can do to appease that person that's continuing to help them, that's what they're going to be doing. Continue.
He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his wrath shall fail.
So it's given a parable just like, people plant, what's called sow, or in order to get a harvest, it's what you reap. So basically, the statement that's said all the time, that whatever you sow is what you reap. So a person that sows iniquity, that they are producing the seeds of iniquity, they can't expect anything to grow that's going to be good to benefit them. So once they continue to do those iniquitous acts, then all they're going to get is vanity, as I said. Basically, everything that they're doing is going to be worthless, and that the rod of his wrath, it should fail. That whatever they intend to do, the wrath of God is going to cause them to fail at whatever they intend to do. Continue.
Verse 9, he that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor.
And that's coming from Jehovah God. That a person that is mindful of people that have a less status in terms of financially, that person that continuing to give to people that are in need, or even if they lend it to people that are in need, other places in the Proverbs, it mentioned that you give to the poor is like lending to God. And God always makes sure that he fulfills his promise. So if there's one way that you can think of to get out of, if you have a financial problem in your life, just reading these scriptures like this will help you. That whatever you have, just make sure you're mindful of those that have a less financial status than you, knowing that the Most High God will make sure that he brings you out of your problems. Because you're helping somebody else out of their problems, so the Most High God makes sure everything goes full circle. So what we do for other people, it may not come directly back from that person or that individual.
Right.
But Jehovah God sees everything.
Right.
So he's going to make sure that you're going to come out of any situation that you find yourself in. Continue.
Verse 10, cast out the scorner, and contention will go out. Yea, strife and shame will cease.
And that's directly related to what was taught this morning. So the scorner is the person that is, as it was said earlier, the naysayer, the complainer, the person that, why the walls got to be brown? Why these chairs got to be brown?
Right.
Why this? Why that? They're not coming up with any solutions because there's not a real problem happening. They just there to just make, to just cause problems.
Right.
So as they're scorning, they're just complaining about everything without offering any solutions.
Right.
And that, but it says you get rid of that person, and then the contention will cease. So if you're in a situation or in a whether it's a family, congregation, or community where there's a lot of contention, you got to look at the scorner that may be among you that's causing all those problems. Right. Because they're causing people to go at it. Yeah. And it says all of that the strife and all of the shame, all of that would end once you get rid of those scorners. Continue.
Verse 11, he that loveth pureness of heart, that hath grace in his lips, the king shall be his friend.
So the pureness of heart and has the grace in his lips is basically someone that thinks and speaks truthfully, that thinks and speaks kindly. So the Most High will make sure that that person, references the king, because people that were living at that time looked at the king as someone that you want to be in their court. But the wisdom of this is just saying that if you're a kind-hearted person, a truthful person, it'll basically get you to high places. To the places that you want to get to in life, the people that you want to meet, just being a nice person, being a kind person, Jehovah God will make sure that you get to those levels that you want to be in. Continue.
Verse 12, the eyes of Jehovah preserve him that have knowledge, but he overthroweth the words of the faithless men.
So the person that has the knowledge, basically that's just saying that Jehovah God will always make sure that that person is protected. But he overthrows the words of the faithless, the person that, once again, the scorner, the person that doesn't believe that a goal that is set is achievable, or they think that we can attain to a certain level. That person that's always has no faith, the Most High God is going to make sure that that person is thrown down, because that person is speaking words that causes the other people to have their faith shaken.
Right.
And those are the type of people that we don't want around us, and the Most High God doesn't want those people around, because it causes progress to stop, or sometimes it causes a regression of falling back or going back, because you have people that have no faith speaking words. The people that have the faith should be the ones that are speaking, not the people that are faithless. Continue.
Verse 13, the sluggard saith, there is a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets.
So the sluggard is a person that basically just doesn't want to do anything.
Right.
So it's given a parable that they're just making an excuse why they can't go get a job.
Exactly.
So, of course, there wasn't lions running around in the streets, but it's just letting you know that a person doesn't want to do anything by the amount of excuses that they're making.
Right.
So they come up with these astronomical excuses that I'm not going to go find a job today, I'm not going to school today, I'm not doing this today because there's a lion outside. But they're just making excuses in order to pacify someone that's trying to motivate them.
Right.
So we don't want to be those. We don't want to be the sluggard. We don't want to be the person that's always making an excuse not to do something. In order to be progressive, you have to be active. And a lot of these proverbs that we're going to read today are going to talk about not being a sluggard, but also making progress. In order to make progress, you have to put your mind and your hands to doing something. Mm-hmm. So just making excuses not to go out is not going to help you anywhere. Continue.
Verse 14, the mouth of strange woman is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of Jehovah shall fall therein.
So the strange woman is the woman that doesn't belong to you. Talking to the men, of course. The woman that doesn't belong to you. Whether or not she belongs to somebody else, it's just a woman that does not belong to you. And it's saying that she's strange to you because she's not yours. And it's saying that her speech, her mannerism, everything about her is going to cause you to fall into a deep pit. Now you fall into a deep pit, just visualize it. It's something that you're not able to get out of. Mm-hmm. And it's saying that those that are abhorred by Jehovah shall fall therein. So now we have to consider that when we men have women problems, we have to consider what we're doing in the sight of the Most High that's causing these problems to come towards us. And it gives an expanded scenario also in Ecclesiastes 7. We're not going to go to that for time, but it gives an expanded thing that Jehovah is going to cause men to be entrapped by women that he hates. And how you get hated by the Most High God is when you act like you hate him. So in order for us not to fall into these deep pits that the women cause us to fall into, we have to make sure that our ways are pleasing the Most High God. And that's from young to old. We have to make sure that we're pleasing the Most High God. So once again, when we consider us getting ensnared and entrapped by women through lust or any means, we have to consider how the Most High God is looking at us, that he's causing these problems to come into our lives. Continue.
Verse 15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him.
So here, the next chapter, 2 chapters before, 1 chapter after this,
right.
Or 2 after, beat your children. Because, and it's saying it right here, because there's less beatings, there's more problems. So we have to make sure that we correct the children. And that's what it's called, a rod of correction. So you're not beating them just because you're angry, but you're beating them because you want to make sure that they straighten up and correct the actions that they're doing. It's like, jails are supposed to be called correctional facilities, meaning that people are supposed to go there to get fixed. So when they come out, they're not doing the same thing that they did before.
Come out worse.
But today's system, they just go in there to make them come out worse so they could go back in.
Right.
Correction, when it comes to children, is supposed to make sure that they don't revert back to the things that you're beating them for.
Right.
So once, just giving, it's supposed to work with just giving that one strong beating. So we read it, they were doing rods. So today with the extension cords and the ironing cords and the switches and all that stuff, that's light compared to somebody getting a rod. So we gotta get back to being the children. It'll come up again. So yeah, we just need to get back to being children. And once we start beating these children, things will work out better. Then people don't have to worry about having children because they know that they're in a community of people that will beat children. So until we get in that community, some people are not going to want to raise children in this atmosphere. But when they start beating children and they say, all right, this is the place I want to have children, then things may change. Continue.
Verse 16. One may oppress the poor, yet will their gain increase. One may give to the rich, yet will want come.
So this, and then also later on, they'll talk about having respect of person. So you may oppress someone that's poor because they're poor, but Yehovah is going to make sure that that person is taken care of. You may try to appease a rich person because you're trying to get in with that rich person, but you end up taking up the loss. So once again, it's just about being careful of who you're doing good to. Do good to those that need the good, and don't oppress those that are weak. And don't try to get favor and those that are stronger, richer, more powerful than you, because you have to understand that Yehovah God could bring you on a level beyond that if you focus your mind on him and follow his commandments. Continue.
Verse 17. Incline thine ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thy heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. Let them be established altogether upon thy lips, that thy trust may be in Yehovah. I have made them known to thee this day, even to thee. Have not I written unto thee excellent things of counsels and knowledge, that I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest bring back words of truth to them that send thee?
So that section is basically Solomon saying that, summarizing this section that we just read. And he's basically saying that he wrote these things so that people will understand the writings. So this is not, and it's never taught like this is not directly the word of God, but this is Solomon, King Solomon, that received the wisdom of God, writing down Proverbs, writing down certain sayings in order for other people to read them in order to get on that path to God. So he's saying, he's basically speaking the truth based on what he lived through. He's speaking the truth based on what he's seen other people live through. He's speaking the truth based on what his father taught him about what he did and the things that were done in his time. So with him receiving this information, he's saying that these things were written down so that even today when we read them, we could always find a way to get back on the path to the Most High God. And that's why you see the name of Yehovah written a lot in the Proverbs, even though it's not the direct word of God, but it's someone writing, trying to get us back on the path to serve the Most High God properly. Continue.
Verse 22. Rob not the weak because he is weak, neither crush the poor in the gate. For Yehovah will plead their cause and the spoil of life those that despoil them.
So once again, it's about being mindful of those that are around you.
That's right.
So you think that you could rob someone that's weak,
that's
or
right.
you could oppress or crush the poor, but it's saying that Yehovah is watching you. Right. So if that judgment doesn't come directly from the individual that you're doing wrong to, Yehovah God is going to make sure that judgment comes to you somehow or the other. So if you think you're looking over your shoulder against the person that you did wrong to, Yehovah has a whole army of people that he can have something done to you. So we just have to be mindful that we don't try to take advantage of people. And that's basically what, this is summarizing some of the other verses saying that we don't take advantage of people, and especially us being a holy people and trying to have a good name. Nobody should look at us as an oppressive people. As Maury said it earlier, we should be trying to pick people up. So even if you are not humble and you think you're on a better level than anybody else, your mindset should be on picking people up to your level and not trying to keep people down. Because you're not going to survive alone on that same level. They do talk about it in sports. There's always arguments about who's the best player on a team and who's the best player in the whole league.
Overall,
But they look at people that can help others on the team get up to their level.
Absolutely.
So there's people that, win when they go to the finals 11 years in a row. But they didn't get everybody else to that level to where they can win consistently. So they look at the person that was able to elevate somebody to their level to help them get to that point that they wanted to get to. And not to, and I was going to go into a whole, y'all started this whole NBA conversation. But
LeBron.
no, not him, but the person that just won, that was able to get everybody in the team involved.
Quiet.
Everybody in the team had double digits.
Right.
And that's how they won. Because you can't just be the person. Keep everybody down. You need a team with you.
Right.
So you're not scoring 100 points by yourself. Well, unless you're Will Chamberlain. But you're not scoring 100 points by yourself. You need other people with you to help. And that's talking on the sports level, but just talking about in life. That we have to, we have this knowledge. But this knowledge shouldn't just be in this room. So we should be able to go out there and help people get to the level of where we are in terms of our service in the sight of the Most High God. So therefore, rooms like this will always be filled. And then you'll be able to get to a bigger and better things because you're trying to help the nation as a whole. So we're not looking down at those that have no knowledge, but we want to make sure that those that have no knowledge obtain the knowledge, and we have to make sure that we give it to them. Continue.
Verse 24. Make no friendship with a man that is given to anger, and with a wrathful man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul.
So sometimes we can look at ourselves and wonder where certain characteristics that we receive that we don't like about ourselves, but we can think about where they came from. It's based on the company that we keep. So if you were not ever known to be an angry person, but all of a sudden later on in life you become an angry person, look at the people that you were around growing up. So it's teaching you that if you want to be a good person, be around good people. Saying stay away from the angry person because those traits you learn. Because we, once again, we feed off of each other. Just as human beings, we feed off of each other. So those that we allow ourselves to be in the company of, they can have more of an influence on us than us on them. So we have to be careful. So someone that's always angry says, stay away from that person because you'll end up following their ways and then end up getting in trouble just like that person is getting in trouble. So if you see someone, whether it's, friends or people in school that's always getting in trouble, those are the people that you want to stay away from unless you're the type of person that wants to walk into trouble like we read about earlier. But walking into trouble is not going to do you any good in the long run. Continue.
Verse 26. Be thou not of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts. If thou hast not wherewith to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? So
it's said earlier that, or in the Proverbs, that you have to be careful of, being in debt to people that are mightier than you, because you're going to end up being further in debt. So if you know that, you may need something, you may need money or may need to borrow something in order to help you, but you have to consider, are you able to pay back what you're asking for? And if you can't pay back what you're asking for, then you have to be cautious about asking for it. It's a problem that we have, even like, Chief Nasty spoke about it in terms of the riches versus wealth. But we end up as people being in debt to other people. And that causes us to be in a situation that we can't get out of. And then, of course, it compounds with that because they tend to all just give us, they tend to give us all like low credit scores and everything to make sure that we're always borrowing. So that's the reason, part of the reason why we're in the predicaments that we find ourselves in, because we find ourselves in debt to someone else that we can't get out of.
Right.
So if you know that you cannot pay back, don't make a promise that you're gonna pay back. Right. If you know that you get paid $300 a week, don't ask for $5 and say you're gonna pay back $5 at the end of the week, knowing that you're only gonna get back $3. Because also you wanna be a trustworthy person.
Right.
So not saying that you shouldn't borrow, period, but just be mindful of, when you're borrowing, that you have to pay the person back, and just be reasonable with the individual that you're borrowing from, and pace yourself. Right. Don't just make astronomical figures that you're not going to be able to do, because then you're going to end up being more in debt, because you're still going to have bills to pay along the way. So you can't pay back that person and still catch up with your bills at the same time. So just saying, be reasonable when you're asking to borrow money. Continue.
Verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set.
And that's written in the
Torah.
law, that someone's landmark, their boundaries for their home where they live, and the land that the landmark basically gives the line of what belongs to them. So it's saying don't move that landmark. Don't, if it's a fence, don't try to creep up when they're not around and they're on vacation, or don't try to creep up at night trying to inch, their fence further into their property just to expand your property. And it's said like that, but this is things that people actually did. they stole property by moving someone's land when they didn't see it. So that's why today people try to make sure that they get blueprints for their land to make sure that there's markers that would never be changed. But back then, when you didn't have all of that advanced architecture with the blueprints, that's what people were doing in order to expand their land. Because they seen someone's crops, or they seen something on that territory that was adjoining to theirs, and they said, I'll roll back this stone, because it wasn't a lot of fences, but you had stone. People say, well, my property's from this stone to that stone, and then all of a sudden next year, that stone is end up over there when it was there in the first place, because people inch or just roll when they wasn't, the other person wasn't mindful of it. Continue.
Verse 29. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men.
So as opposed to the sluggard that's making an excuse not to go out, the person that is diligent, they're making sure that they always accomplish in their business. That every day they're going out with a goal in mind, and they're returning with that goal accomplished. Right. That type of person will be able to stand, and it's always going to refer to kings, throughout the Proverbs, throughout the scriptures, because those were basically what we consider like the presidents and the prime ministers of today, or of then at that time would be the king. So those are the people that the normal person wanted to be able to be in the king's court, because they would know that they would find favor if they're in the king's court. But it's saying that all you have to do is be a person that is diligent. Once you set a goal or something, whatever it is, just make sure you accomplish that. So that's why, usually people try to, with the children, they ask a lot, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Because if you have that in mind as you're young, and you continue to pursue that, you'll achieve that. The only thing that's going to stop you from achieving your goal is you. Right. Mm-hmm. Because we, and especially us, being the children of Yisrael, and we serve a God that created the heavens and the earth. That's right. So anything that we want, he's willing to give it to us, as long as we do what he wants. Right. And all he's asking for is obedience. He's not asking to draw blood. He's not asking for you to throw your children over a cliff. Mm-hmm. He's asking for obedience. Obedience. And with that obedience and perseverance and your goals and what you want to achieve in life, he will make sure that you achieve that goal. Yes. I didn't hear anything after law of attraction. No, I didn't hear what you said after the law of attraction, but just the fact that you said that means that you're reading a lot of books that people probably in your school are not reading, which is good. But go ahead.
You can use the law of attraction to, you can think good thoughts and then good things happen to you.
Yes. So that's what you're saying. She's saying using the law of attraction that whatever you have in mind, that's what's going to come to you. So if your mind is lazy, you're not going to get anything. Mm-hmm. If your mind is focused on, you're going to be a plumber, electrician. I don't know what women want to be, so I can't think of anything. But whatever it is that y'all want to be, because y'all want to be something, hopefully. Whatever it is that y'all want to be, just focus on, that's a good thing. Y'all should want to do something. So whatever it is that y'all focus on doing, you can accomplish that, and no human being can stop you except for you. And that's what we have to remember. No human being can stop you except for you. Continue.
Proverbs 23, verse 1. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider well him that is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, seeing they are deceitful food.
So to talk about, once again, you want to be around the king, or you want to be around someone rich, that if you get to sit or dine with that person, just mind your manners. That's basically what it's saying, mind your manners, because that person may not be being nice to you, if that's the way to say this. May not be nice to you because they want to. So you have to be mindful of your manners and how, you're respecting yourself. You want to make sure you have self-respect. Also saying you might as well kill yourself. That's basically what it's saying right there. Continue.
Verse 4. Worry not thyself to be rich. Seize from thine own wisdom. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon it? It is gone. For riches certainly make themselves wings, like an eagle that flieth toward heaven.
So if your mind is focused on just being rich, just as you received it, it can be taken away.
Uh-huh.
So that's why in the previous chapter it's focusing on fearing Jehovah God so that he can protect what he's giving you. Because if you take Jehovah out of your equation of achieving your goal, he may allow you to experience that, but then your downfall is going to be faster than your rise.
Right.
And that's what it's saying. So they're saying don't just focus on trying to be rich. So yes, don't be a sluggard. Yes, you want to be diligent and go out, but don't forget your primary goal, which is to serve Jehovah God. Because if your goal is just to become rich, he may allow you to get it, but it can be taken away from you just like that, as a punishment for you, and so other people don't follow that same path. Continue.
Verse 6, eat thou not the bread of him that have an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainties. For as one that hath reckoned within himself, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. The morsel which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up, and lose thy sweet words.
So you want to stay away from people that really don't care about you.
Uh-huh.
So it's
There
saying
you
that
go.
don't try to be among people that have that evil eye. Those
Right.
people that don't care about you.
Don't care about
because
you.
you may hear them being nice, but in their mind they
They
mean no
hate your
good.
guts.
Yeah, they hate you, and they just want to make sure that they see you
That's
stay
right.
down while they stay up.
That's right.
So just like the previous section, just saying, be mindful of who you're around. So the person could be, rich status, and you may be happy to be around them, but just, mind your manners and be careful of how you act around them, because they, it's either you're gonna kill yourself or they could kill you. And it may not be a physical killing, but it's just the fact that they want to suppress you and keep you down. So make sure you mind your manners and don't just try to be around people that have what you consider a higher status. Just mind,
Right.
hold yourself, be humble, and then make sure that you ask the Most High God to protect you in every scenario. Because that person could just, once again, just being nice to you just to get information from you or just to make sure that they do something bad to you. So everybody that's being nice to you still have to be mindful of that. Continue.
Verse 9, speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of thy words.
And you have to be mindful of who is a fool and who is not. Because we still have to, teach truth. We still have to teach wisdom. But sometimes you have to know when someone's just not paying attention.
Right.
And someone just doesn't care about what you're saying. Because you continue to speak to that individual and they don't care about what you're saying. And all of that, those nice, positive, truthful words that you're speaking, it just, as they say, going in one of their ears and going out the other. Or not even going in at all, because they might just be blocking it completely. And just, you're just wasting time speaking to that individual
Speak
when you
the
could
truth.
be speaking to somebody else that you can actually help and someone that wants to be helped.
Speak the truth, Rabbi.
Continue.
Verse 10, remove not the ancient landmark, enter not into the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their cause with thee.
So it starts off repeating what we read in the last chapter
Right.
about not moving someone's landmark,
Right.
but it's letting you know that Yehovah is watching you. So if it wasn't enough just to say not to do it, now it's letting you know that Yehovah is watching you. And also it's talking about entering the fields of the fatherless, those that may have no defense on earth. That is saying that that person that you think may have no defense on earth has a defender that's watching your ways and watching everybody. So what you do to somebody else is definitely going to return to you. So once again, if you want to receive good, do good. Right. If you're the type of person that wants to receive evil, just do evil. Continue.
Verse 12, apply thy heart unto instruction, and thine ears to the words of knowledge.
So don't be the fool that's rejecting all of the wisdom or despising the wisdom, but when wisdom or instruction is being taught to you, or the Torah, which is instructions, the instruction that come from God, make sure that you're listening to those words to acquire the knowledge to know what direction or what path to walk in. Continue.
Verse 13, withhold not correction from the child, for though thou beat him with the rod, he will not die. Thou beatest him with the rod and wilt deliver his soul from the netherworld.
So before I just mentioned that just the rod of correction will drive it out, now it's repeating it, they're not going to die if you beat them. So if Zerek, you can beat him all day, he's not going to die. If he does wrong, just beat him. Don't worry, he's not going to die. Don't worry about it, just beat him. So that's what it's saying, because or Israel, Mordecai says Israel, so Israel is not going to die. You beat him, what's your children's name? No, you. There's nobody else behind you but the wall. You beat them, you just beat them. Just beat them. They're not, when you get home, just beat them. They're not gonna.
Wow.
Yeah. So don't worry about them. Nothing's going to happen to them. And here's the other thing. Male children are not the only ones that can get beat.
That's right.
Yeah, I got to beat these women children also. So all of them in that row, the three right there, beat them. She said she knows. And they're not going to die. Don't worry about them dying. Just do what you got to do to make sure, because you want to also, as I said previously, train them up in the way they should go when they're young.
And they won't depart.
So beat them when they're young so you don't have to beat them when they're older. Beat them when they're young so life doesn't beat them when they're older.
Right.
So it's better that you beat them than somebody else go out there and do something to them. Because you want to make sure that whether the system or, we live in Brooklyn where they're shooting 11-year-old boys by accident. Right. You want to make sure that you train them to stay out of certain situations and stay out of trouble. Because if you raise them just like Absalom, they mentioned Absalom, that his father, King David, never told him good or bad. Right. That's right. That he never told him anything. He just let him do what he wanted to do.
He was a brat.
And that's why he grew up to be the way he is. Right. So that's why when Solomon was born, King David probably gave him some beatings. And that's why King Solomon is repeating this in every other chapter to beat the children.
That's right.
It's been said more, it's said twice today. But it was said a couple of times before, and it's going to be said more times.
Yes, sir.
Again. Continue.
Verse 15. My son, if thy heart be wise, my heart will be glad, even mine. Yea, my reins will rejoice when thy lips speak right things.
So this is a parent speaking to their child. So if a child wants to please their parent, all they got to do is be wise and speak truth. If you did something wrong, admit to it.
Be truthful.
Don't grow up to be a liar. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to grow up being a liar, and you're going to get to an adult that's always lying, and you can remember your truths. It's hard to remember a lie. So you're going to end up saying a lie to someone that you're going to have to try to remember when you tell it to somebody else.
Keep lying.
Or when you repeat it to the first person again, you don't remember how you said it the first time because it was a lie. The truth is something that actually happened, so you could always prove it. So you could always say it the way it happened. The lie is something that you imagine in your mind. And your mind changes constantly. So it's better to grow up being a truthful person and make your parents happy by being a truthful person. You may get beat by speaking the truth, but you just have to take your punishment while you're young, as opposed to growing up to be a liar and let life beat you down. So it's better to, you may not like it, but let your parents beat you down now, because you don't want life to beat you down later on. Continue.
Verse 17. Let not thy heart envy sinners, but be in the fear of Yahweh all the day. For surely there is a future, and thy hope shall not be cut off.
So all those people that are in school that seem to be getting away with evil and getting away with the nonsense, don't envy them. Don't say like, why can't I be like this person?
Right.
Oh, this person, their parents let them hang out after 10 o'clock. This person's parents let them go to the party. This person's parent let them do this and do that. This person's in school and they doing this and that, and the teachers let them get away with it. Don't worry about that person. Because there's going to come a point in time that you want to be alive long enough to see that individual's downfall. Not that you want to see their downfall, but if you stay in the right path, you will see that individual's downfall. So you want to make sure that you don't envy those that are sinners and those that are hateful, those that do wrong in the sight of the Most High God.
Right.
Because you don't know what Jehovah God has in store for them. But you know what he has in store for you based on what you read if you do evil.
So, because if you get distracted by someone else, then you can lose attention on what you're doing.
Yes. So he said, if you allow yourself to be distracted, so we don't need, call him up. You want to teach the rest of this? And he was coming to now. No, but he's getting these points perfectly. He's saying, don't get distracted. That's basically, don't let what you see
don't
someone
tempt them, Ben. Don't tempt them.
He was coming up. So, read the next section to see what you say about this.
Verse 19. Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thy heart in the way. Be not among wine bibbers, among gluttonous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe the man with rags.
So what does that mean to you?
It means that
Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thy heart in the way. Be not among wine bibbers, among gluttonous eaters of flesh, for the drunken and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
So big. Oh, go ahead.
So if you be around those type of people, then they can teach you the wrong thing. And then you have a crooked life because people remember.
Yes. So it's basically saying just watch the company that you keep. Like they say, if you around 10 broke friends, you'll be the 11th.
They gonna
Just give it
drain you
10.
for real. Gonna be paying for all the drinks.
And we're gonna get into that soon when we talk about the harlotry and what they could drain from you in this chapter, the next chapter. But it's basically saying that it expands the previous concept. Watch
Right.
the people that you're around. So it went from just talking just generally about sinners, but it talk about specific action. It talk about don't be around angry people because you'll learn their ways. Don't be around those that just want to drink all day because you'll end up being like them. Don't be around those that just want to eat all day because you'll end up being like them. So you want to make sure that, and Chief Uziel speaks about a lot, moderation.
Right.
So, as he says, there's people that, you can drink, you can eat meat, you can do things like that, but you don't want to do it in overabundance. And you don't want to be around people that's all they think about. And Ecclesiastes talks about it, people that just want to wake up and drink. Because they'll drink from the morning till the evening.
Right.
And that's a cycle that you're not going to be able to get out of easily. So that's why it talks about just training the youth, as they're young, so that they'll be in that path. So when they get older and they decide to drink and eat and all that stuff, they don't do it in overabundance, and they're mindful of the people that they're around. Because it said that all of those things will cause you to become impoverished or just cause you to be lazy.
Like when you eat food and then you want some more and then you have some more, but then you ask for third. That's being greedy.
Yes, because you didn't need the seconds or the thirds. You just saw it there and you wanted it. So that's what it's talking about. Don't be that person that you just eat food because you see it. Eat food because you need it, but not because you see it. So drink wine because you need it, not just because you see it. Don't drink wine because you need it. Don't drink, but we'll get to, don't drink Coronas because you see it. Drink Coronas because you need it. We'll continue. I'll get back to you after this.
When do you ever need Coronas? Verse 22. Hearken unto thy father that begot thee, and despise not thy mother when she is old.
So it's talking about, once again, a lot of these are talking about parents to children. So just because you turned 18 doesn't mean that you can disrespect your parents.
Right.
Just because you turned 28 doesn't mean you can disrespect your parents. Just because you turned 38 doesn't mean you can disrespect your parents. Just because you turned 78 and your mother is 99, you can't disrespect your parents. So no matter what age, it says you hearken to your father.
Yes, sir.
And don't despise your mother. It's
That's
basically
right.
giving an opposite spectrum, but saying listen to your father and your mother and don't despise either one of them, no matter what your age is, because that command in the 10 Commandments to to honor our father and our mother goes for all ages. Right. So that's why with King Solomon, he wrote that a lot of these things were given in his truth and to give wisdom. But he's reiterating principles that come from the Torah or the instructions that come from God. And he's just giving it in a way that we can understand it, no matter what our age, that we can follow the commands of God. So it starts with, we started off talking about just having a good name, but how you have a good name is by having good principles.
You can also live up to what
Yes. You could always make sure you always live up to what your name is. So if you have a good name, you want to make sure that you maintain that good name. Continue.
Verse 23. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding.
So all that you want to do, you want to always make sure that you acquire the truth. You want to always make sure you acquire wisdom, instruction, understanding. So you do that by study. You do that by research. So if you have to pay for it, it's saying just buy it. You know, before we had to buy books, today you can just download a PDF of the same book. You know, we don't want to suggest you rob people of the money that they, you know, for writing the books. But it's basically saying use all, I just said in Proverbs
Everything
3,
available
use
to you.
all of your means to acquire understanding.
Right.
And don't be quick to get rid of it. So that's why I'm saying buy it, but don't sell it. Don't be quick to get rid of it. Just like you may buy a fancy watch like this, but he's not going to be so quick to sell it. Because he spent his time and his energy to get the money to buy it. So it's saying just like you acquired instruction and wisdom, you want it, don't be so quick to give it away.
Fancy watch.
You got the fancy watch. You can, buy the trip and buy the tickets for your family to go to Israel. It's saying that you do all that.
Fancy watch.
But don't be quick to get rid of it. The fancy lion head on, all that stuff.
All that.
The nice shades, you get all that. You want to, that's what
The
it's saying.
gazelles.
Instruction, Torah. That's how you want it. You want to get that, just like you want to get those video games that you don't want to lend
That's
out.
right.
You borrow that. You didn't buy it. Your parents bought it for you, but you don't want to lend it out. So it's saying just like you want to acquire those things, acquire instruction, wisdom, and don't get rid of it.
So if you have a lot of money and then you want to go to Israel, then don't. If you already paid for it,
No, go to no. I was just referencing a person that has enough money to buy a watch, a chain, and a trip to Israel. That's the only reference. So don't mix it up any more than that.
Verse 24. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child will have joy of him. Let thy father and thy mother be glad, and let her that bore thee rejoice.
So that good name you have is not just for everybody out there. That good name you have is for in your house. You want to make sure that your parents are happy with you. You want to make sure that your parents are glad when they see you. Not just satisfied that you came home without being hurt. You want your parents to actually be happy that they're seeing you. You don't want to be the child that the parent could, care less about, and if you not home, they don't care. You want to be the parent you want to be the child that the parent cherishes and is once again happy. So in order to do that, you have to please your parents, and you have to, beyond that, please God, so that your parents can be pleased with you. Continue.
Verse 26. My son, give me thy heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways. For a harlot is a deep ditch, and an alien woman is a narrow pit. She also lieth in wait as a robber, and increaseth the faithless among men.
You care to explain? Go ahead.
why does it always like the strange woman?
Because men are not supposed to be dealing with strange women. So the strange woman, once again, is the woman that is not his. So the loose woman. And women also should not want to be a loose woman. You don't want to be even though, as it was said, it talks about the strange woman, and is always focusing on, men staying away from that. When it's a male that's writing this. And he's basically saying, these are the things that will trap you in life. So he's saying that stay away from lust, because you as a man, you're looking at women lustfully, and you just want to get one particular thing from them. But it's saying if that's your intention with women, it's going to cause you to fall into a pit that you're not going to be able to get out of. And I'll take that hand when we get to the next chapter, so we can just sort of ease it along. But it's talking about the strange woman is someone that's going to cause a man to fall down. And once men get ensnared by a woman or women, and it says also be mindful that if you do get ensnared by women, that maybe it's because, it says that in verse 14 of the last chapter, he that is abhorred of Jehovah shall fall therein. So once we as men fall into that trap of women, it's because we have to acknowledge that we're not doing the right thing in the sight of the Most High God. And once again, just God uses people to trap us or to do things to us for his judgment. So we're just warning us to stay away from strange women. You want to grow up, you want to find a woman that is yours, but not a woman that's everybody's. Because once again, you're going to end up spending money, doing things, and it's going to be to no avail, because what you're putting out is not coming back to you. Whereas if you have a wife, you working, you're paying the bills, that's staying in the household. You just have somebody that's out there and you just giving them money, that's not benefiting you in any way. All you're doing is working just to give it to somebody else, and there's no return on that. Continue.
Verse 29. Who crieth, woe? Who? Alas. Who have contentions? Who have raven? Who have wounds without cause? Who have redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to try mixed wine. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it glideth down smoothly. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like a basilisk. Thine eyes shall behold strange things, and thy heart shall utter confused things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have struck me, and I felt it not. They have beaten me, and I knew it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again.
So it's talking about a drunkard once again.
Goodness gracious.
So it's saying that, as I said earlier, you don't want to be around people that drink a lot. Now you end up being around people that drink a lot, and you start drinking a lot. This is what happens to you. Those that have been drunk could probably explain this much better, because it's basically talking about someone that's like you're in the sea, but it's talking about, like the sea, the ship has like a mast with the flag is on. It's saying you're gonna have that feeling that you're up there.
That's your stomach.
You're woozy. You don't know when it's gonna end. You don't know when it's gonna stop.
Ready to earn.
You're on that roller coaster ride that you're seeing things. We had songs when we were growing up. You overdid it, Holmes.
You're in the danger zone.
And they talk about Frank B. and he say stuff tastes just like fruit punch.
Yeah.
He drank another, and that made four. He seen his fly girl, he's suave and debonair. Nice skin complexion with long black hair, but this girl was ugly. Her body was through. But after 4 drinks or more, she looked like Paula Abdul. You start to see things that are not there. So it's warning you when you drink a lot, that what you thought was good is not actually good. So you end up just in a motion that you can't get yourself out of. But it says at the end of it, you didn't want to go through that, but the last main statement was that I will seek it yet again, because you start to enjoy that. But it takes you out of the reality of life. So anything that's mind-altering, you want to stay away from. So it's talking about the drinking the wine. It's talking about, no, it's not talking about, so we don't add, but we are talking about the weed for all of y'all, young people. You don't want to get into that. You definitely want to stay away from the K2 and anything even beyond that. We went through that whole era where we seen crackheads and drug addicts and stuff like that.
That's right. They turning y'all back into drugs.
And probably what y'all can do for the children is that if you want to show them something that they should not be, just drive past that clinic around the corner.
That's right.
That's what you don't want to be.
Dope Central.
You don't want to be like, how you look at them, and you say you don't want to be like that, then you have to follow God's commands, live with wisdom, so you don't end up being like that.
Don't pop them pills. Yes. You're seeing stuff that is not there. Yeah.
So when you're drunk, it's called, impaired. Your mind is impaired. You see things that are not there. But unfortunately, like drinking and drugs, people want to get back to that same high after they come off of it. But them trying to get back on the same high causes you to look like the people that you don't want to look like. Because those are the people that are chasing that high still. And they can't get out of that cycle of trying to chase that high. So they never accomplish anything in life because their life is just spent chasing that high. Continue.
Proverbs chapter 24, verse 1. Be not thou envious of the evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief.
So once again, reiterating that you want to stay away from the evil people, because if you desire to be with them, then you're going to end up being like them. But it's letting you know that those type of people that are evil, that all they want to do is evil. So if you have a mind, if you have common sense, what they say is not too common, nowadays, but if you have wisdom, you want to make sure that you do not desire to be around those type of people. Because basically what it's showing us is that we are who we are around. So what is the expression, you hang around 9 broke friends, you'll be the 10th one, or the 11th as they said. You hang around drunkards, you'll become a drunkard. You hang around angry people, you become an angry person. You hang around sinners, you become a sinner. That's what we basically say. So if you want to be a good person and have a good name, hang around people that do good and have a good name. Continue.
Verse 3. Through wisdom is a house built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge are the chambers filled with all precious and pleasant riches.
So it's simply saying it's not about the riches that actually builds the house, it's the ways of the people that are in that house. So once again, you can have all the money necessary to buy a mansion or whatever it is, but it's not going to stand if you're not living a truthful and a wise life. So what we pursue most should always be knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Those are the things that we should always pursue. And as I said previously, the riches and honor, everything comes as a result of that. So don't try to skip over the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding just trying to get the riches, because you may get that, but once again, God can take it away from you. But if you attain that by knowledge, wisdom, understanding, obeying the Most High God, fearing Him, then He will give you everything that your heart desires. Continue.
Verse 5, a wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength. For with wise advice thou shalt make thy war, and in the multitude of counselors there is victory.
So once again, you don't do everything on your own.
Right.
You want to make sure that you bring, if you think you're on a high level, you bring people up to that level. But anything that you do is talk us, more precisely about war. But anything you want to accomplish, any goal, you want to make sure that you talk to other people about it, to make sure that you get their ideas. Definitely talk to your parents about it, because your parents definitely have your best interests in their mind. So whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, you counsel with them. You counsel with people that have understanding, so that you can get advice on how you do things. And whatever it is that you want to achieve, you like to say, once again, going back to the plumbers, the electricians, or whatever it is that women want to do, you talk to people that are already in those fields,
right,
to get information and advice from them on how to achieve that goal. That's basically what you want to do. Continue, and then I'll get you.
Verse 7, wisdom is as unattainable to a fool as corals. He openeth not his mouth in the gate.
So this is a person that you recognize as a fool, that people speak to them, they won't get the understanding. So it's reiterating what is said earlier. Because once again, in the last chapter, the chapter before, Solomon was basically, summarizing the chapters prior.
Right.
So now in this chapter, you're going to see a lot of repetition from some of the things that he said before. Because it would seem like this is a separate set of writings that he had, but it's basically repeating some of the same ideals he gave before. Or sometimes just repeating the same idea, but just in a different way, because a lot of us learn from different ways. So it may talk about the sluggard saying there's a lion outside, then they may talk about a sluggard that just doesn't do anything, and whatever they have around them just gets torn down. But it's basically giving you the same idea, the same principles, not to be evil, not to be a sluggard, not to be a drunkard, not to be a glutton, and not to fall into the lust of women. Continue.
Verse 8, he that deviseth to do evil, man shall call him a mischievous person.
And that's a person that doesn't have a good name, because they're always doing evil, so all people say is that that's a mischievous person. And you don't want to have mischievous attached to your name. I know today we live in a world where terms like petty is something that people want to call themselves. Terms like unruly is terms that they want to call themselves.
Right.
These are some of the
wrong is good.
The middle names and some of your Facebook pages and your Instagram. Unruly this person, unruly that, or petty this and petty that. You don't want to actually have those negative connotations attached to your name. It's unfortunate that we live in a time where that's become acceptable, but you don't want to be the type of person that is known for doing evil. Continue.
Verse 9, the thought of the foolish is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men.
So talk about the fool, once again, all they think about is evil. So whatever they think about is going to be something that's sinful. And the scorner, the person that complains, people are going to hate them because, once again, all they're doing is complaining. So the scorner, once again, is a complainer that has no goals, no aspirations, no thought behind what they're complaining about. It's not about moving forward. So they become an abomination to men because people don't want to be around that individual that's always complaining without offering advice or counsel, as it said earlier. Continue.
Verse 10, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small indeed.
So always persevere. Once again, when you're trying to achieve a goal, just keep working at it. Don't be known as a person that gives up. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you have in mind, or even if people are trying to help you get on the right track, you continue working at that. You don't want to be a weak-minded person or weak-bodied person that allows their strength to just fall away. So whatever it is that you want to achieve, just make sure you keep pushing at it. And once again, once we're serving the Most High God, He will make sure that these goals are accomplished. because those goals that we are trying to accomplish should be righteous and positive goals.
Right.
So he will make sure that those things will fall into play. Continue.
Verse 11. Deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain will thou forbear to rescue? If thou sayest, behold, we knew not this, doth not he that weigheth the hearts consider it? He that keepeth thy soul, doth he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his work?
So if you see wrong being done, you got to speak about it.
Uh-huh.
If you see wrong being done, you got to do something about it. You know, once again, unfortunately, we live in an era where wrong is being done, and all people do is pick up their phones and record it. You know, you end up seeing a lot of videos on the news that they're looking for this individual while the person was just recorded the entire incident. There was an incident, you know, just in the news where somebody was on recorded, somebody robbing somebody that was sleeping. I don't know if it was a woman or a male that was sleeping, and a man just walked up, went into the bag, and just grabbed some stuff. But all the person did was video it. So now they gave the video to the police, so the police are looking for that person. Don't be that person. You see some wrong being done, do something about it.
Address it.
Of course, you want to do things in wisdom. So you want to make sure that you have the upper hand with regard, you know, any situation. So assess the situation, but you want to always make sure, like, you know, Chief Uziel said, you address the situation somehow as opposed to just recording.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you do something, especially now amongst the children of Yisrael. There's things that's being done wrong, and if you see it, speak about it. Do something about it. You know, as you know, the youth are growing up, there's going to be a lot of mistakes that you see that adults made. Don't follow those same mistakes, because those are things that causes the nation not to progress. We have to get to the level where wrong is being done and something's being done about it. Where wrong is being done and people are speaking out about it. So once again, you see something being done, and don't act like you're not seeing, because that just says, the one that weighs the hearts, which is Yehovah, he sees it. So he's seeing the wrong that's being done, and he's seeing you ignore the wrong that's being done. But he doesn't ignore any of it.
Right.
So he'll get the person that's doing the wrong and the person that's ignoring the wrong that's being done. Continue, and then I'm gonna get you.
Verse 13. My son, eat thou honey, for it is good, and the honeycomb is sweet to thy taste. So know thou wisdom to be unto thy soul. If thou hast found it, then shall there be a future, and thy hope shall not be cut off.
So it's comparing wisdom to honey.
Mm-hmm.
So just like some of y'all like those cakes, y'all like them ice cream that Samoa's Zakar be bringing out, y'all like the cupcakes that they brought out that not everybody got to eat today, the cookies that some people passed in front of other people's faces without offering to other people. Just like you want to get those sweets, you should try to get wisdom more than that. And that's what it's saying, that just like that honey is sweet to your taste, wisdom is even sweeter to your entire body. So that's what it says, it's going to be, you know, sweet. It's basically like saying it's sweet to your soul. That wisdom will allow your eyes to open up and see things clearly. And you'll be able to make right decisions. And making right decisions is better than being a glutton.
Can I say the thing from the last chapter?
Need some more water.
Chapter?
Torah.
Go ahead.
If a man is with a strange woman, is it can someone else be with a strange woman if they both like each other?
No. But the overall idea is that nobody should be with a strange woman.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely don't want to share a woman with anybody else. That's number one. But strange women, all males should stay away from strange women.
That's right.
And that's basically the point it's saying.
That's the point.
So if a woman is foreign to you, you want to stay away from her.
Yes, sir.
Because you never know if you're going to end up sharing her with somebody else.
Teach, Rabbi.
She won't tell you.
Teach,
Because
Rabbi.
her goal is just to do what she wants to do.
Uh-huh.
But you would want to make sure that you stay away from that. And, you know, that's why we teach it, you know, like that, because it's, you know, sometimes things get stronger based on the genders. But, you know, we can't teach women to be pure and then allow men to just do everything that they want to do. Mm-hmm. Because it's not going to work out for the nation overall.
That's right. Verse 15.
Yeah, we could think about what you're going to say, and then we get back to you.
Lie not in wait, O wicked man, Against the dwelling of the righteous, spoil not his resting place. For a righteous man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. But the wicked stumble under adversity.
So now we're talking to people that are wicked, people that are evil, that is saying don't try to tear down the righteous person.
Right.
And notice it's saying that the righteous person falls 7 times.
Right.
The person is still righteous after they fell the first time.
Yeah.
They're righteous after they felt the second time. They're
Righteous.
still righteous after they felt the 7th
Bumps
time.
and bruises, baby.
But the wicked person, once they fall, they're only going to fall once.
Can't take
so it's saying
adversity.
don't worry about looking at somebody else and trying to tear them down.
Bring
worry
that
about
truth.
yourself. Bring yourself up.
Bring that
because
truth,
you keep
Rabbi.
doing evil, you fall down, God knocks you down.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
But if you're a righteous person and you fall, God is going to pick you up based on the righteousness that you're living in.
Keep picking you up.
So he's picking you up and knowing that you may fall again.
Bring that truth,
Just
Rabbi.
like, a child, you teaching them how to walk, they're going to fall, but you're going to help them, because the goal is to help them to walk. Amen. So God wants us to walk with him. Just as it said, in the Behukotah, he wants us to walk in his statutes, keep his commandments, and do them. Mm-hmm. So God is going to make sure that we walk along properly and not fall down. And I'll get back to you after. I know you're probably thinking about what you just
Verse 17. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thy heart be glad when he stumbleth. Lest Jehovah see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him.
So don't worry about when you see people get knocked down, even in their wickedness.
Right.
Don't be glad at somebody else's calamity. Don't be glad or happy when somebody else falls down. Because just like they were taken down, or just like they fell down, you could fall down also. Absolutely. So they're saying that you don't want God to see you. In Ezekiel, God said he doesn't even desire to take the life of the wicked person.
That's right.
So you shouldn't be happy or at the calamity of a wicked person. Right. I mean, no, he doesn't want to see the death of a wicked person. That's what it says in Ezekiel. So God doesn't desire to just kill people.
No,
so we
sir.
shouldn't be happy at someone else's downfall. Continue. Right.
Verse 19. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious at the wicked. For there will be no future to the evil man. The lamp of the wicked shall be put out.
So we're going to speed it up a little because a lot of this is reiteration from what was already said. So it's saying, once again, don't worry about evildoers. Don't worry about watching what they do. Don't try to be like them or emulate them, because they're, as I said earlier, they're not going to have a positive end. And it said that, Jehovah God in this instance is going to make sure that their lamp gets turned off. So once their lights are out, once God turns our lights out, it's not coming back on. Wow. So it's saying that don't envy or try to be like the evil person. Don't worry about the evil person either. If you think that they're flourishing, don't worry about that, because God is going to eventually turn their lights off. Continue.
Verse 21. My son, fear thou Yahweh and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin from them both.
So this is misquoted based on the Hebrew. So just to give you exactly what the Hebrew says, it says, my son, fear thou Yahweh. Then it says, the king and those that are given to change, don't meddle with them. That's why it says that for their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knows the ruin of them both.
Oh.
The both is talking about the king
Clear it
and
up.
those that are given to change. And 99.9% of the books, they translate like this. When you read it actually in Hebrew, it says, my son, fear Yahweh. And the king
Separates it.
and those that those that are given a change, those that are hypocrites, those that they say one thing and do another thing.
Don't trust them.
Don't trust them. Don't meddle with them. Because it says that their calamity will come suddenly, and who knows the ruin of them both. And only because of time, that's why I'm not taking it here.
These are also all sayings of the wise. Verse 23. These are also all sayings of the wise. To have respect of persons in judgment is not good. He that saith unto the wicked, thou art righteous, peoples shall curse him, nations shall execrate him. But to them that decide justly shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. He kisseth the lips that giveth a right answer.
So it's speaking specifically to judges who are judging a case. So it says that to have respect of persons in judgment is not good. Or the literal translation from the Hebrew, don't recognize someone's face. So when there's a case before a judge, they have to recognize the case and not the faces of the people that are before them. So you don't favor someone because you like them. You don't favor someone because they're poor and you care about their cause and being poor. You care about the case. You want to always make sure that right is done in every situation as a judge.
Right is
now,
done.
just even living in our, just living life, we want to make sure that once again you see wrong being done, you correct it. You also on the other side want to, compliment those that do good. That's also part of judgment when it says justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. So those are the righteous, those are the doing good. You want to make sure that they're commended, they're promoted in a way, feeling good. Give them a good morale based on what they're doing. Right. Don't just focus your attention on those that are doing evil, but also concentrate on those that are doing good so they don't end up being like the people that you don't want them to be. Right. Continue.
Verse 27, prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thy house.
So before getting into marriage, you could think about marriage. Before getting into marriage, it's basically saying that you want to make sure your field is taken care of. Whatever it is that you're going to utilize to sustain the house, that's what you want to make sure is flourishing first. So that's what it says, you prepare to work without first. Then you build your house. So you want to make sure that, once again, when you get your house, whether it's the physical house or the family, the marriage that you're trying to get into, you have something to sustain that. Right. Because if you try to just get to the house without having anything to sustain it, the house may not last long. Right. So us as men, we have to make sure that our fields are taken care of, that we can sustain a household and not just jump into marriage. And on the flip side with the women, you want to make sure that you marry a man that has the field taken care of. Because there's no sense in marrying someone that he doesn't have a field to sustain the house, then you complain about it later. And that's something that women do. They complain about the men, but you have to look at the men that you got in a relationship with. You can't just blame an entire gender based on your poor decisions. So if you got into somebody's household and the household got torn down because he wasn't taking care of stuff, you went into that house without looking at the field first. Sometimes you got to check the field out, make sure the field is good, and know that this is a house that can be sustained based on what this individual is able to produce. So the men, once again, have to make sure that they're able to produce before they build a house. So therefore, both sides will be taken care of. Continue.
Verse 28, be not a witness against thy neighbor without cause, and deceive not with thy lips.
So once again, be truthful. So talk about witnesses definitely in the case, but you definitely always want to be truthful. Go ahead.
Say not, I will do so to him as he have done to me, and I will render to the man according to his work.
So if someone does evil to you, the first course of action is always to pray to God. That's your first course of action. Right. And then you don't have to pray to God against the individual in terms of what you want done to them, but you're praying that you can get out of that situation. Let God deal with it however he wants to deal with it. Right. Because you don't want to be the person that wants to take revenge on your own. So that's what it's saying, don't be the person that says, I will do so to him as he has done to me. Right. God can render judgment better than you ever can.
That's right.
So once you leave everything up to him, let him take care of that. Because if you think you could do it on your own, then you're saying you don't need God to handle your battles. Most of us will want God to handle our battles as opposed to us handling it on our own. Right. So don't think that somebody does evil to you, just leave them alone, leave them in the hands of God. So once again, your first course of action, if you think that you're being wrong, is just take your case before God. Right. Just like King Hezekiah, we read about it, where a foreign king was coming to attack the land. He sent letters to threaten King Hezekiah. Hezekiah took that letter, put it before God and said his prayer, before he figured out what else to do. So once again, the primary course of action in any situation is to take your grievance, your problems to God, and then let him counsel you on what needs to be done. Right. But don't just automatically jump up to take revenge and do the same thing. Because if they're doing evil and you do it to them, then you just did evil also. And God will take care of both evildoers. Right. So you have to make sure that you handle your situations righteously. That's right. And once again, it ends off talking about the sluggard person again.
Laziness and folly. Verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thistles. The face thereof was covered with nettles, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I beheld and considered well. I saw and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as a runner, and thy want as an armed man. So now, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So briefly, can anybody say what a sloth is? Because it's mentioned slothful people. What is a sloth?
A sloth is this animal that is very slow. When you like go somewhere and come back, and it's still in that position.
Right. So it's an animal it's an animal that moved very slow. Right. So the slothful person is a person that acts like a sloth. They're moving very slow. So because they move very slow, the sloth may have a vineyard, but he's not taking care of the vineyard, so it's just growing, dropping, it's not taken care of. The slothful person may have a house with a wall around it, but if they're not maintaining the house, the walls are going to be broken down. So this person is saying, I just need a little bit more sleep, a little more slumber. Because all they want to do is they're tired. They say, I'll get to it tomorrow. Tomorrow may never come. I'll get to it next summer. I'll get to it next year. But it says that just by sleeping too much, that's how you get into poverty. Because poverty is going to chase you. So once again, you have to make sure that you're a go-getter. That's what this last section is talking about. Just be a go-getter. You have a goal in mind. Once again, our primary goal is to serve God and make Him pleased with us. Have a goal in mind and just go after it. Don't make poverty chase you. Chase poverty away. And that's basically what it's saying. So the sloth, as she said, is the animal that moves slow. Don't move slow. A lot of people, a lot of the children now are out of school, whether they graduated or just taking off, because the summer, it's coming up. Don't waste your summer. Don't be lazy. The summer is not your opportunity to wake up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm pretty sure there's a broom, there's a mop, there's something you can wipe down in the house. I'm pretty sure there's something work that you can do in the house. So you don't have to spend the summer doing nothing. So the summer is not, once again, to wake up at 1 p.m., or to go to bed at 1 a.m. to wake up at 1 p.m. That's not what the summer vacation is for. Just because you did enough not to go to summer school, don't mean you don't educate yourself in some way during the summer. So if you want, so once again, if you want to achieve a goal in life, the summer is actually the best time to do it, because if you was complaining you don't have time to do stuff because of school and homework and everything like that, now you don't have no excuse. There's no line outside now. There's no school to go to. So pick up something and run with it. So with that saying, Mosai, Shabbat, Shalom.
Mosai, Shabbat, Shalom.